I'm going to lay out today an amazing pattern of connection between life events. I'm going to ask you to please watch this whole video. I know that we live in a 30-second video world now where everybody wants to see the information immediately and then move on to something else. But sometimes when you do that, you're going to miss the important stuff. You're going to miss the amazing stuff. I think what I tell you today could change your life. I really do believe that. Before today, I was going through a very, very bad experience. Past 2 years of my life have been hell ever since I lost my job. I've been struggling like I have never struggled before. But the past 2 weeks, I've been the lowest. It's been so bad, I have been in tremendous pain. This pain does not feel like it's pain in my muscle or my body. It feels like something else. But my insides burn. I am angry and I'm scared. I am truly standing on the edge of the cliff, looking down into the abyss. I could lose everything at any moment. I can get a call tomorrow, and it's all gone. So I haven't had any hope. I've lost my hope. I even lost my faith in God. I took my crucifix off my wall and threw it in my closet. I stopped believing. But then today, I spent the day working on videos and blog posts for the future. And there's a few videos I had to record again. This was one of them. And when I started shooting this video, this is my second, third, fourth, fifth draft. When I started shooting my first draft, I started to see a pattern in my life that I had never thought about. And when I saw how everything that I have done all connected to each other, and every time it led to something better. And when I saw that pattern, it blew my mind. For the first time in a long time, I believe and I have hope again. I just believe something better is on its way. But let me just explain this to you. Again, I ask you to please watch this whole video. I truly believe this is going to change your life. You are going to look at your own life to see how all of the events connect to each other and how everything leads to another thing. And it's going to blow your mind if you've never thought about it. So let me start to when I was 10 years old. My neighbor, Charlie, he was getting up there in age and didn't have it in him to mow the lawn anymore. As a matter of fact, he stopped mowing the lawn well before I even moved into that house, before we built our home. So he had high grass, so my father would do it. But my father decided to teach me how to mow lawns, and so I took over. So at 10 years old, I was getting paid $10 every week to mow the lawn. That was great. That $10 was great for a kid. My other neighbor took notice of me mowing the lawn, and he offered me a job. So now I had 2 lawns. I went from getting paid $10 a week to, I think the other job paid me $25, so $35 a week. That particular neighbor had multiple properties, and he ended up hiring me to mow all of his properties. So now I was making really good money. Then he hired me to do landscape work. It was really great because it was my neighbor, so I didn't have to go far. I could just walk right next door and get paid to do this landscape work. Well, eventually, Charlie, he stopped hiring me to mow lawns because he just couldn't afford it. And he had a family member who was actually a professional landscaper, so he started to mow his lawn for free. So I lost that job. The other guy, the other one who had hired me, he actually got divorced and moved out from the neighborhood and no longer took care of the properties. So I lost that job. But what would you know, as soon as I lost those jobs, in that same summer, another job just suddenly popped up. This time it was for a restaurant job. My father happened to own a comic book store at that time, and next door was a restaurant, and they were desperate for help. So they hired me to be a busboy in the back. Now, I didn't want the job. I was going to say no. So they just said, hey, could you just come in at least for today to help us get caught up and we'll pay you? So I'm like, okay, if it's just for today. But after my first day, they said, you know, you did a really good job and we'd love to hire you. Would you consider taking this job? Well, when I got paid, I thought, well, I mean, this is $40. It'd be $40 a week that I'm getting paid. So why not? So there I am, 14 years old, and I got a job in a restaurant as a busboy. That job led me to doing a stand-up comedy TV special in their restaurant because at that time I was a comedian. And they loved my comedy. They were huge supporters. They would have me come out on the floor of the restaurant and perform at any given notice. I would just get a call, Mikey, come on out here. And I'd go and do a voice and do an impression and do a little routine. So that was great. It was great for my confidence. It was great for me as a comedian, and it was awesome. But eventually they let me do an actual 1-hour stand-up comedy routine. And one of my friends happened to have a video camera, and his mother worked for the public access station. So he videotaped it, and he put it on television. Now, I didn't think it would do well, but I was wrong. It actually did really well. Well, soon after I did that comedy TV show performance, about a month later, I lost my job. They had laid me off, and then soon after, they closed their doors. So I was really upset by that. But I wasn't out of work for long. Because of that comedy TV show, one of the students that I went to school with who I had never met saw me on TV. His name was John. And he instantly became a fan. He loved what I was doing. So he found me in school and told me about how much he loved that TV show. And we became friends. He also became the biggest supporter of my career that I have ever had in my life. Ever. He was so valuable to me that I'm not really sure I would be where I am today if it wasn't for his help. He was a go-getter. He had balls. He wasn't afraid of anything. So he would just get right out there and he would say, hey, do you know Mike? Mike is great with doing impressions. Mike, do Jack Nicholson. Mike, do Ronald Reagan. Mike, do this voice. He would just go up to everybody. And because he did that, I got known around the school for my comedy. That led me and John to creating our own comedy TV show. That TV show became a huge hit. And it wasn't just on public access. It was on cable access, which means we were seen in multiple towns on the shoreline of my state. We had a huge audience. We ended up filming 100 episodes. It was a huge hit. But here's what's really interesting. While we were doing the show, we developed a production company. We called the production company, we based the name of the production company after our show. My TV show was called Comedy After Dark. As it turned out, that wasn't always the name. This is all significant. That's why I ask you to listen to everything. This all is significant. Our name of the show used to be called, originally, The Mike Burke Comedy Hour, but I hated it. So then we changed it to The Comedy Hour starring Mike Burke. And after a while, we didn't like that either because there was MTV's Comedy Hour, and it seemed like every special on TV was called The Comedy Hour. We wanted to be original. So we grabbed a thesaurus, and we looked for different names. And that's when we saw After Dark. And we thought, what if we call ourselves Comedy After Dark? Comedy After Dark starring Mike Burke. Everybody loved it. That's what we went with. So our production company was called After Dark Productions. After the show ended, eventually, about a year later, I got a job working in a factory. While I was working at this job, they were terrible with raises. However, they had a retroactive type system, which means that you get paid from the time of your due date to the time they actually pay the raise. You get all of that back pay. They ended up being 2 years late on my raise. They owed me about $2,000. Not only that, but I believe I had another $2,000 to $3,000 from tax returns. So I ended up making a total of about $4,500 to $5,000. At the same time, I was homeless, temporarily homeless, living in a motel room. I was trying to get an apartment at that time. Not only that, but the job didn't give me a good raise. It was a bad raise. And they cut overtime. So I was so upset by this that I remember sitting in a motel room. I still see it. I could see it as clear as day. The room was dark. The only light was the light from the TV. I remember sitting on the edge of the bed, and I was angry and frustrated, and it was a summer night. Or not a summer night, but a late spring night. It was in May. And I remember saying to myself, this is nonsense. I'm going to be stuck working at this crappy job forever. I got two options here. The first option is to go get an apartment with this money I just got, or to make my first movie. If I make that first movie, that could get me out of that job. That could actually make me more money, and that could make my dreams come true by being a successful filmmaker and actor. So what do I do? That night, I picked up my movie camera and I began shooting my very first movie. I was able to do that because this first movie was based on a skit we shot on our television show. That was co-written by my friend John, who helped me create that show, who discovered me on the comedy TV special I did From the Restaurant. While I was shooting that movie, I didn't want to use the name After Dark Productions. I decided to alter the name to After Dark Films. That's significant. I continued making movies, continued working at that factory job, and eventually had enough. I left the factory job and I ended up working at the warehouse as a warehouse manager. Still making movies. By that point in time, I had done about 10 movies or so. While I was working at the warehouse, something fascinating happened. One night I'm watching television, and there's a movie trailer for a horror movie. And it says, by After Dark Films. I think, isn't that interesting? Because I didn't make that movie, and I am After Dark Films. I own a trademark. That's my name. As it turned out, a Hollywood film production company didn't do their research. Didn't know that the name was trademarked. Eventually, that led them to finding me and contacting me. They wanted to have the rights to use that name. They tried to convince me. I was stuck because After Dark had meaning to me. It was a part of my TV show, which that TV show changed my life. That show was significant in my life. So I was torn, and I was at a point where I was going to say no. But my boss was a businessman. He used to run multiple businesses. So I thought, who better to talk to about this than him? So I sat down and had a meeting with him. I told him about the situation, and I told him about my thoughts. He had some good advice. So I decided to use his advice. Then I came up with the number. I did some research and decided that if they are going to buy the rights to use this name, then this is how much money they should pay. It was a risk. As it turned out, they accepted it. That was the biggest deal I have ever made in my entire life. The checks that I received from them are mind-blowing to me, how big they were. I could have made the decision not to make that deal, and probably would have if I hadn't spoken to my boss at that time. Because I would have looked at the name itself and how it had meaning. I wouldn't have thought about how it would have changed my life, but after talking to him and talking about how business works and how he said, hey, no matter what, at the end of the day, it is only a name. You can always get a better name. Bottom line here is that you have an opportunity to earn a lot of money that will change your life. And as a business perspective, that's the decision you should lean towards. That's exactly what I did. That decision let me pay off all of my debts and let me buy my first house. The house I'm in right now. When I lost my job, 5 months before that day, I started working for myself. Why? Because my best friend, not John, by the way, but another friend of mine who also knew John, sabotaged my job and destroyed my reputation there based on lies. Here's the thing. If I did not own my house, I would have quit that day when my bosses were throwing these accusations at me and disrespecting me. I would have walked out that day because I would not have had anything to lose. However, I did have something to lose, my home. Therefore, in order to prevent disaster, that's what led me to working from home. Eventually, I did lose my job. And everything I've been doing since has connected to one thing to another. It's all been connected. I am doing what I'm doing to fight for what I have, for what I worked for. I want you to... I apologize for the length of this video, but seriously, I mean, do you see the patterns here? How everything that I'm doing right now is connected to what was going on when I was 10 years old. It all connected. As a 10-year-old, I was mowing lawns, which led me to mowing more lawns, which led me to getting a job in a restaurant within weeks of losing my lawn mowing jobs, which that restaurant led me to doing a stand-up comedy TV performance, which led me to meeting John, who became a huge supporter and friend of mine, who helped me co-create my television show, which we named Comedy After Dark, which led us both to naming our production company After Dark Productions, which led me to working in a factory that was terrible with paying raises, which ended up owing me a lot of money in retroactive pay, which led me to making a decision based on anger to make my first movie, which my first movie was based on a skit that was created on a television show, co-written by my friend John, which led me to changing my production company's name to After Dark Films, which led me to working in a warehouse job, which happened where a Hollywood production company took the name After Dark Films when I owned the trademark, which led me to having a meeting with my boss, who is a business person and an entrepreneur, who had the perfect advice for me to allow me to make a decision that ended up being super lucrative, which led me to owning my own home, which is the reason why I fought like hell to save it. And when things went bad at my job, instead of just quitting like I would have, instead, I was sent here. And because I'm now working for myself from home, I now have a chance at reaching true success and making my ultimate dreams come true. The dreams that all started when I was 5 years old. Everything connects to each other. It all led from one thing to another, to another, to another. Is that not amazing? And not only that, but this connection happened about 2 weeks ago again. I was on a website where I thought I was getting paid for doing work. Turned out the website was scamming people. They were not paying anybody. It was a lie. But here's the thing. The advertisers that were on the website were the real deal. That led me to watching an amazing video, which led me to a business that I believe is the perfect business model. And I'm stunned that I never knew about it. And I have now changed my business to work with them. because I truly believe in it. I believe that business is going to change my life. It's going to earn me more money than I have ever earned before because it's all there. They laid out the math, they laid out the plan, the compensation plan, everything. It all makes sense. And all of that is going to lead me to doing what I want to do more than anything, and that is being a full-time filmmaker and actor and entertainer. How mind-blowing is that? Look at your own life and connect it all, because I bet it does. I bet everything connects. I'm looking at 30 years of this. 30, or well, a little less than 30 years of that. I'm not that old, but less than 30 years, like 26 years, 27 years of my life, where all the events connect to each other, all the way up to this very moment right now. That is truly amazing. It is truly amazing. And it is mind-blowing. But because of it, I have a renewed hope today. As a matter of fact, I think my faith in God is restoring itself. Because it's all there. And even though I believe that the past 2 years of my life have been my worst, and I've been upset and living in hell and in fear and anger, it can't be that after 27 years of going through these patterns that it's all just going to stop now and that's it. Instead, something else is coming because all of this stuff is leading to it. And that thing that's coming is going to be amazing. I know that now. I believe that this is the best video I've done because it's a revelation that I never put together. I never saw the pattern, but it's all there. So, I encourage you to do the same in your own life and look at how it all connects. And once you do that, it's going to change your life. It's going to change your life. It's going to give you hope. You're going to see that everything has a reason and a purpose and that it all leads to something better. It really does. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Hey, you!
Me?
Yeah, you! Thanks for watching the video. Why not subscribe to my YouTube channel on the left?
Oh, man.
And then go to my website on the right. I have tons of awesome content, cool stuff, and fantastic money-making opportunities. Hey, I'll see you there.
How to get in here, man? How to get in here, man? Oh, man, get me out of here! Get me out of here, man! Oh, this is trippy! Oh, my God, this is just...